we will go around the circle. A little bit low on seed, though we do have more seed back at the yard. So it might not be too much of an issue right now. Okay. Do a couple of rows on this side. And when we get to the other side of the island, we can do the top area. Again, we can get back to doing straight lines again. Ah, missed a bit. Missed a lot. This seeder not quite as efficient as the Lemkin 12 metre because it's a direct drill. It will rip up the seed that's already planted and replace it. The Lemkin is not a direct drill, and so it will only plant on cultivated or ploughed ground. And that's it. So if there's seed already in the ground, it won't plant there. So for little gaps like that, the Lemkin is actually quite efficient. The problem is if you select the wrong seed type, say you're planning to plant soybeans and you plant a row of wheat and then say, well, it should be soybeans, you can't overplant the wheat with a soybean row. This one you can, because it'll dig up what's there, as I said, and replace it with what you've got selected. Okay, I'm going to run straight through here with the seeder down. So that'll destroy my nice little rows around the island. Keep going straight the other side, and then fill the area to our right. Well, the good news about seed radish is it is the most efficient seed. So it does get used up very slowly. I was hoping what's in the seeder is going to be sufficient for our needs, at least as far as getting the oilseed radish in. Now we are going to plant some winter crops, but those will be on the new bags of seeds that we bought last episode, I believe. Absolute worst seed to use is potatoes. We did some tests ages ago, and for the most part your grains, canola are all fairly efficient. I think canola is now uses less seed than soybeans. Soybeans in seasons, it doesn't rotate well with anything. You're always going to be looking for a field to leave fallow for a year in order to get the best yield possible from soybeans. Your other option is just to take what you get and live with the lower yields, but then the lower yields, while soybeans carry quite a good value, a lower yield is not going to return as much seed or as much crop, so your income will be reduced. That looks fine. We'll run over here. Indeed. Well, yeah, I did do potatoes as a going concern on Mercury Farm. What was it? Mercury was probably getting on for a year ago. I was playing Mercury Farms, and I happened to buy a field with potatoes in it. So I figured, okay, I'll get a potato harvester. Just the tractor hauled unit. I had what did I have? I think I had a Fendt 700 which had sufficient horsepower to run the harvester but not the topper, and then a Fendt 300 that I sent out with narrow wheels to top the field. And I ended up with all these potatoes. And for those that don't know, Alien Jim's storage, crop storage buildings for Mercury Farms store everything. So I could put potatoes in there. So I did. And I didn't sell the potatoes. What I did was I decided, you know what, I'm going to buy a potato seeder. And I'm going to plant some potatoes. Just one field. Since I've paid for the harvesting equipment, I might as well I might as well keep going. So I planted the potatoes I had, which, while it uses up a lot of potatoes, you get an ungodly number of potatoes at the harvest. Once the field was planted, I sold all of the rest of the potatoes and made quite a nice amount of money. And then from that point onwards, every cycle I had at least one field, well actually I had one and only one field planted with potatoes. And I just cycled at that point. It was, I will harvest the potatoes, I will use those potatoes to plant next year's potato crop, usually in a different field. And after I've planted that field, I will sell the rest of the potatoes. You can't unload a potato planter, so what's in the planter stays in the planter, and because you own it, if you sell the planter, the potatoes go bye-bye, so you lose that. It's dang, this thing. So yeah, doing it one-off is not very efficient because you're pretty much never going to estimate correctly the number of potatoes you need to plant a field. You could go so far as to not plant the entire field and just to live with what you end up planting. That is an option, but you're either not going to plant all the field or you're going to end up with potatoes in the planter that you sell. But Mercury doesn't have big fields, so it didn't actually take long to harvest the fields. And because I was doing 7-8 fields of harvesting at the same time, I could send the little Fendt 300 out to top the field, While I took it, and I'd do that with a worker, and I'd take out the harvester and start harvesting and carting the grains from the harvester. And then once the 300 was done, I'd send the 700 out with the harvester and just put that on a worker and leave it. And because it has such a narrow working width, it takes quite a while to fill up the harvester. So you can leave it for a good while and cut for your main grain harvester, and then every so often, oh, potato harvester's full, great. I'll just go and empty the grains from the cart, go pick up the potatoes, drop them in, and then go back and service the grain harvester for a bit. So I didn't actually do any harvesting personally, I would just let the worker do it. But small fields of potatoes isn't immensely painful, although my personal preference is sugar beets. They can be as painful, but the working width on the sugar beet harvester, the tractor hauled sugar beet harvester, is much larger. So you get the job done quicker, although the tank capacity is lower. So you have to empty the beet harvester far more frequently. But it's something different. So at this point, I'm not intending to do any pigs on this particular farm. So I don't have to grow root crops, but I'm going to take the option to plant some root crops. And they will be sugar beets, because this planter deals with sugar beets. Assuming we keep it. I mean, I could switch for the other Great Plains cedar, which doesn't carry fertilizer tanks and doesn't direct drill. But it's 18 meters in width, which would take me less time to do anything. I don't know that an 18-meter seeder is... I would need a smaller seeder to do some of the smaller fields, I think. But we don't really have much in the way of smaller fields. Okay, it is game time, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And we have finished our seeding for the day. Oakfield, still 650 litres, just under. And I'll stop that there so that it locks correctly. So, fields. These two just been planted. We're not going to get oilseed radish pop until maybe tomorrow, maybe first day of winter. Meanwhile, over here, these 3 can all be done. 1 was canola, 2 was oats, 8 was sunflowers. There's a lot of weeds on that field. That's sad. So the plan is these 2 fields have to be grains. So wheat, barley, oats, canola. No. Wheat, barley, oats or corn. And I'm not doing corn. This field would need to be canola or Sunflowers. These two fields, any choice, but they're not going to be planted till spring. Now, if I'm going to plant this field with sunflowers, we're not planting it until spring either, late spring. So definitely fields 1 and 8. We will be probably cultivating and planting tomorrow, presuming the temperatures today, tomorrow. Yeah, temperatures are good tomorrow, and they're good Friday, and they're good Saturday. Thursday is the last day of fall. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We're into winter at this point, so that might turn to snow potentially. Although southern UK, not a particularly snowy land. Kind of like 1 year in 7 you get some serious snow. Outside of that, it's none to light. It's just the rainfall that's the problem. Good clearance. I think I did spray that, so I don't need to put anything down on this field until spring, I guess. Maybe tomorrow. But we'll do the top 2 fields next to Hilltop Stores, I think, next. I'd like to keep doing sunflowers, because I really don't do sunflowers that frequently. Although we could plant those on one of the 2 fields we planted today with oilseed radish. Because, as I said, they're not going to be ready until spring, and you can't plant sunflowers till late spring. So maybe we'll put canola in the big number 1 field, number 2 field, whatever it is. I haven't checked the sheep today, or at least for the end of today. Might need to check those before we finish everything. So that's it all clean. I'll run over here. We'll fill up the sheep trough with water. I guess that was kind of full. That looks kind of full. Not there. Sheep. Oh no, they need food. Ooh, was that a point 2? Ooh, baby sheep impending. So we'll need to bring over a bale or 2. I think it's just 1 bale, but they are now eating. I have enough sheep that they're eating a bale a day. Need to find somewhere to put all my trailers. Right. I'll try and do this again and make sure we get this as straight as possible in that shed and see if it wanders. Doesn't seem to be wandering too significantly. It's not a total disaster, but it is something that irks me. Because of my crop choices, I will need both a planter and a seeder to replace this. Okay, that's in. So that is nice and straight. Inside the shed, and whoa, close enough to the wall. There's a tow hitch for something. So I can drop that there, and hopefully it will still be there when we come back next time. I'm sure I've done that before anyway, and made sure I parked it straight, but never remember whether I did or not. Okay. Yay, gatepost again. Gatepost is incredibly annoying. I need to turn the light off there as well. This in front of the class, since they're both for the most. Oh, let's
Welcome to the Challenger.
pull that forward a bit so that it's not parked on top of the class. Well, that's a little bit better. Leave the lights in here on. They're not. I think the exterior light switch is that one. Oop. What the heck happened there? That's better. Okay, we'll go get the Lindner and put a bail on it. Here we are. Okay, let's look where we're going. Brilliant. Okay. Here's all our bales of hay. Stab a bale and lift. Ooh, that didn't look good. I don't think the sheep eat more than a bale of straw. Hay, whatever it is we've got. But it was clearing 50. With 50 we could, they wouldn't eat much in a day, but we're now clearing a bale a day at 66. So we are gonna have to watch that. Oh, bouncy tractor. There we go. Put that down. And boom, disappeared. How much was that? That's, yeah, pretty much all of it. Of course. I'll try and clean up the trough. Though I'm not sure it's going to help much or even work for that matter. Oh. I am really fisting this. Oh, come on. Maybe because the bucket's on the floor. This bucket doesn't work with the mod that tells you what angle your front loader attachment's at. Okay. I felt that patch back there was loose grass. Maybe it's just... I don't know. That kind of looks like a pile of grass, but I could be completely mistaken. That is a pile of grass. Okay. Guessing the trough's full. No? Okay. Weird. Oh, because you have to drop it in the back. I'm not having a lot of success with this. I will say that much. Yeah, this is not playing ball at all. Oh, there we go. Now we're picking up grass. Put that back and run around this side because this is where you feed them from. Bingo. Make the grass go away. I think this shovel's from the CSZ pack. And that might not play with the, as I said, the fork attachment or the front loader attachment mod. Anyway, that's a lot cleaner than it was. And we're done. I'll stick this back here just because. Yeah, CSC multi-purpose bucket. So that might mean that the CSC forks also don't give a height or angle on the attachment. See, that one does. 3 degrees, 18 degrees, 84 centimeters. I'm primarily using this for the angle, so that I know, yeah, 0 degrees, it is level. So I'm not going to have an issue with picking up pallets and what have you, or to drop pallets, fairly precisely. Angle of about -2 degrees, -1 degrees works fairly well. Okay, we'll put that down. Put forwards. And 0 degrees, 0 meters. Engine off. So there we go. It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The farm work for today is done. As I said, we got a couple of fields up the top, up that way, which we will probably look at planting tomorrow, next week's episode. No idea where the dog's gone. Food, there you go. But for right now, I think I'm going to call it done. It's pretty much time to go eat something. I wish you all a good weekend, and I will be back next week with some more from Oakfield Farm. Oops. But for right now, I'm out of here. Have fun, everybody.